Hey everyone, this is Grace of gbmaltese, and I thought I would do a whip and chat with you. I haven't done one in about a week, and I thought I want to talk to my friends out there. And yes, I am still working on my little deer. I've been busy doing other things. I've worked on it a little bit, but I have been busy doing some crocheting, and I have a friend who has asked me to help her out at the school some. And so I've been kind of torn between doing different things. So I want to get this sweet little deer finished. I'm getting very close, as you can see. But look at the sparkle on this. Let me tell you, this is gorgeous. Look at these squares on this diamond dots. It is gorgeous. Wow. And I haven't even gotten to the ABs yet. I'll be getting to those before long because I'm all the way down here on 23. Excuse me. I'm on 23 right now. And there are 28. So I am getting very close. As I said, I've been busy with other things. And you know how that goes. You're sitting there thinking, I wish I could be diamond painting or doing this or doing that, but I've been in and out doing things, and because our schools have been back in session full time since in the fall. Now, school started back, for those who wanted to start back, August the 13th. And probably 50% or probably more, maybe 75% of the kids actually started back to school at the beginning of the year. And all of them started back, I guess, in October. And they've been doing okay. You know, they're all wearing their masks and everything. I had to, when I went up there, I have to wear my mask, which I know it's a pain, but what? It's better safe, huh? So, anyway, doing a little bit of that kind of stuff. And I've been making more squares for my daughter's Afghan that I'm doing. I've got quite a few made. I'll show that in another video. I just wanted to work on this today. Give me a chance to get a little bit of this done. I have been recording some short stories and putting them up, and I appreciate those of you who have been watching them. I try to put as much enthusiasm as I can, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback on them, but I don't have as many people listening to my stories as I do as I do other things. But I want to keep doing that for the people who are enjoying them. And if you haven't listened to one, you know, maybe try one out. Just if you want a little entertainment of something a little different. I read different types of stories. I have done some Edgar Allan Poe because some people like that. I've done some Grimm's fairy tales. A lot of people like those. I've done a couple of mystery type things. So if you don't have anything else to do and want to listen to a story, I've been calling them diamond painting in a story. And what I do is I'm diamond painting and I'm reading a story. I just do a voiceover so that you see me diamond painting while you're listening to a story, and you can either be in bed going to sleep while you listen, or you can be doing your diamond painting or whatever else it is you like to do. But if you don't mind, just listening to one and tell me what you think about it. If it's something I should keep doing or not. I mean, I do have some people who keep telling me that they want me to keep doing more, so I'll keep doing some of those for them because they are really enjoying it. And I do enjoy reading the stories. I've missed I do some voice changes and different things like that when I'm reading. It's just enjoyable for me. And, you know, if you don't like that kind of thing, then don't worry about it. But if you haven't listened, you might enjoy it. I don't do real long stories. One day maybe I will do books if someone wants me to. I don't know yet. I try to do the stories because I can have a beginning and the end all in the same video. So, if you have any ideas on that, just let me know. What are you guys working on today? How's the weather for you? Today here in Texas, it is, at the time I'm recording this, it's Monday, March the 2nd, and we were a little cooler. We were in the 60s today. We had been up to close to 80 over the weekend. It got pretty warm Saturday. And Sunday got warm. But then yesterday, ooh, that wind started blowing. I just couldn't believe it. It was raining, the wind was blowing, and the temperatures kept dropping. And I guess we dropped down into the 40s. And then today, we were in the 50s for most of the day. I think we were at 61 when I looked just a few minutes ago. And it's about 4:30 right now. And so I am just glad the icy stuff is over with. And I talked to you about the birds we have. We lost some of the purple martins. Well, we have new ones coming back in. And last count, there was about 12. So we are getting more coming in. My husband was so heartbroken when he lost those martins to the cold. He tried so hard. But let me tell you, the hummingbirds we had, he was out there keeping that water from freezing. And yes, sugar water does freeze. Someone was trying to tell Jerry that it didn't. And I said, why don't you ask them what popsicles are made out of? Because those freeze. Yes, they do freeze. So, he would have to get it thawed out. Especially those little areas where they put their little, they go in and stick their tongue in to get the juice. Those little holes would freeze over, so they couldn't get their tongue in there. And he would bring them in and thaw those things out. Just hope we don't have any more of that. The birds had a rough time when all that was going on. I hear Bogey barking in the other room at probably nothing. That's what usually ends up being when I go look. Oh, I hear a siren. Okay, so he's barking at that. He may start howling. He's doing a little bit. He's got the cutest little howl. It's so funny. When he first tried howling, he couldn't. I don't know if y'all can hear that. That's Oliver and Bogey howling. Oliver is quite a good howler. Oliver's the high-pitched one. Bogey's more lower-pitched. It's so funny. They get to doing that. And, well, I hope it's not disturbing you too much. I do have the door closed, so you can't hear it full on. I'm not sure. They usually stop by now, unless they stop somewhere close by. Well, they're starting to stop. So maybe they finally decided to slow down a little bit on the howling. So it has been just crazy around here. In order for me to help my friend, okay, she wants me to help her grade papers for the ESL, English as a Second Language. It's called TELPAS. And that is a test that the kids take. And part of the test is they have to write 5 writing samples. And they are to be scored as being a beginner in the writing of English, intermediate, advanced, or advanced high. They have to score advanced high in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in order to get out of ESL. That's why some people say, how come they can't get out? But they also have to pass our state test. And in of course exams, there's several things they have to pass. And I have had some of our native English speakers try taking some of these tests, and they couldn't pass it. So, I don't know. To me, it's not quite fair. But that's the way the law is, so that's the way it goes. Because there are some of them have lived here their whole life, but when they started school, they only spoke Spanish. It was like my mom, when she started school, she only spoke Greek. So she had to pick that up on her own. What is the hardest thing is when kids come over here when they're like in 6th grade, 7th, 8th, all the way up through high school. It takes a little bit longer for them to pick up the English. And I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I would feel for those kids because I took a lot of Spanish courses in college because I wanted to teach Spanish, but they had me down for bilingual education. And so everything got messed up. But anyway, I was taking classes that were taught in Spanish. Now, a lot of people think that I am Hispanic, but I'm not. I'm Greek. So, Spanish is not my native language. So, I knew how that felt. I would go in those classes. It was taught totally in Spanish. Our books were in Spanish. And I learned to use a Spanish-English dictionary quite well. So, it's hard. It's hard. And when they go home, well, it's just like with my mom. When she went home, they would speak Greek at home. It's just, that was their language. So, anyway, I just find that sometimes it's hard. Anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, I had to go and take a test last week. And what I had to do for the test was I am given, and I'm going to be grading high school papers. My friend at the high school wants me to help her. She doesn't have a paraprofessional to help her. So, I had to go and take the test the state gives online. And what I have to do is read for 10 different students. I have to read 5 writing samples from 10 different kids. I don't know anything about them at all. So, when I have read their 5 writing samples, I have to decide whether, we do have a rubric that we look at, but that rubric is basically useless to me at this point. I used to take that test every year for 10 years, but I've been retired for a few years now and haven't taken it. So, I went in there, and you have to exactly match the same score somebody else gave to that student. And so that's my whole problem, is reading that paper, reading all 5 of them, and looking at it from an English point of view. Did they use English correctly? Did they use the past tense correctly? And so on. Spelling really doesn't really count against them, but verb usage and that type of thing does. Now, the ones who are beginners are pretty easy because normally they just list a bunch of words that don't make any sense. They just list some English words. And it's Those are easy. Intermediate can be easy in some ways, but sometimes the intermediate is very close to being an advanced, depending on how many mistakes they make. And the advanced or the advanced high is sometimes the hardest, because to me, our kids that write in plain English, you know, the English is their native language, they don't use verbs correctly either. So I have to go by that and match exactly what this other person thought. Well, I was just a nervous wreck. And there was a teacher about 4 foot away from me talking to another one. And okay, I'm sitting there in my mask trying to concentrate on this paper. We were down in the library taking this test. She was supposed to be taking it too, and there wasn't supposed to be any talking. She's talking to somebody else. Anyway, I'm sitting with my back to them, and I guess they didn't notice me moving around, you know, kind of in my chair. And then I finally went, shh, real as loud as I could through my mask. And they probably shot daggers in my back, and I really don't care, because I was there to do something and to do it well, which they should have been too, that one. Anyway, they started to whisper a little bit, and that still was, I needed quiet. I don't know about you, but if I'm reading a paper, especially reading something, I need it quiet. If I was sitting there diamond painting, shoot, that wouldn't have bothered me one bit. I started moving around in my chairs. I covered my ears. I put my fingers in my ears so I couldn't hear them. I guess maybe they looked over at me. I don't know. I didn't turn around and look. They finally shut up. I'm sorry. I was about to get up and say something, but they finally got quiet. I was about to say, listen, I'm trying to take this test, and I would like to be out of here before sometime, you know, tonight. Excuse me. Anyway, I did pass. I made a 90. I was so excited. And so I am qualified and certified now to grade those papers. Well, I have not heard from my friend. Since schools were out for a week due to the cold weather, she has to wait for teachers. She had to give them an extra week to grade and for the kids to write papers. And then they have to get them together in collections for me to read. So that kind of slowed things down. So I'm waiting to hear from her. I got the test taken. I am so glad that's over with. I did a couple of practice tests here at the house. So, as I said, I've been a little busy doing that kind of stuff. I was so relieved that I had passed the test. I wanted to go out and celebrate, but I didn't have anyone to celebrate with at the moment. I did talk to the ESL teacher at the junior high, because that's where I had to go take it. That's where they were doing it. And I had been her mentor last year, and so she was telling me some of the things going on at the school. You know, if you're a teacher, you know, you kind of shop talk. And so it was nice. Do I miss teaching school? No, not really. I miss the kids. I miss seeing my friends, but I do not miss the paperwork. I do not miss it at all. And that keeps you from being able to sometimes do the things you want to with the kids in class. But I taught for 34 years, so I did put in some time teaching. And I love the kids. I've talked about that before. And I taught 3rd grade for 17 years, and I taught junior high for 17 years. And when I was teaching 3rd grade, sometimes I was teaching all subjects. When I first started, you taught all subjects at the elementary school. Then it got to be where we split it, and I was teaching English, reading, spelling, social studies, and the other person was doing math and science. And sometimes I missed being able to teach math and science. But it is what it is, and that's just how things go. Then when I was teaching junior high, I was teaching English. And I was teaching all levels of English. I was teaching, one year I taught 8th grade. No, a couple of years I guess I taught 2 or 3 years. I think I taught 8th grade 3 years. And then I taught 7th grade several years. And then when I started teaching ESL, English as a Second Language, I was doing 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I was working with students who needed help with their English. And I loved doing that. I did. I loved those kids. The job was hard. I had a lot of work to do, but you know what? I just felt like I was helping them out a lot. I loved the other kids too, that when I was teaching those classes. If you don't, you have to excuse me. My allergies are worse than they've been in a while, and I've been using my very strong inhaler also. And it's still, I was getting this really bad cough. Last night I was coughing and my husband said, "Which one of the dogs is barking?" I said, "That's me." So, sorry if I sound like a dog barking. He said, "Which one of the dogs is barking?" They're not. It's me. Coughing. The cough is getting some better. I was afraid it was going to turn into pneumonia, but it is starting to do some better. I'm taking more meds to try to get all of this stuff. We had a lot, very high tree pollen, and the wind blowing real hard didn't help the other day. So I've been doing that, and so that's why please forgive me for having to clear my throat or cough while I'm on here with you. It's just part of my makeup. But anyway, as I was saying, if you don't love kids, care about people, teaching is not the profession for you. And yes, there are some people teaching that do not belong in the teaching field, but that's just like any other field. I've seen doctors who probably should not be practicing medicine. They don't seem to care about the patients, maybe like they should. Get off of there. But that's just the way it is. And I had fun with the kids. I did. I enjoyed joking with them. So it was fun for me. I mean, we learned things, of course. I mean, that's part of my job, was to teach them. But I tried to have a little fun in there too. I have kind of a crazy sense of humor. And especially the junior high kids really got it. And it was fun. You could talk to them, and you could get them to laughing. Of course, they knew when I was not happy. Especially if I got real quiet. They're like, "Shh, she's getting mad." And I just stand there and look at them. Because if you just stand there and yell and scream at them, you're really not going to do much good. Because they'll just get louder, basically. And I have spent, let me see, 3 years. Yeah, 3 of the years since I've been retired, mentoring first-year teachers. And those were some of the things I try to teach them. And some of them get it, and some of them don't. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know how that saying goes. You can tell people things because, you know, you've done it a long time, you know, over half your life. well over half of your life, and they don't want to listen. There's not much I can do for them. So, some people never learn it. But then I have had a couple that to me were just natural teachers, and I would tell them I tried to be as positive as I could with my teachers, but there were just some that I was like, you're just natural at this. You're going to be great. And I had one, he wanted to sit down all the time. I said, listen, you got to be up. That's when problems happen, is if you go sit down at your desk, you got to be walking around that classroom. You got to be seeing what those kids are doing. That's when things happen, is when you're not paying attention. You got to be up and moving around. That's just how it is. And I would tell, I'd tell them. Some listen, some don't. But you're going to find it out on your own anyway. And some people still, you can hear them hollering in the hallway at the kids. I'm like, you've lost class now. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you might raise your voice because you just, teachers are human beings also. Sometimes you've had a bad day yourself, but you really can't take it out on the kids. But there are times that it's easy. You can lose your cool. You can. You just gotta be careful. Doesn't do much good. I would normally try to just be quiet and not say anything. They knew that when I did that, I was not happy about something. And you can walk over to the person who's causing the problem, just kind of touch their shoulder, and they know that you're meaning them. You don't have to say a word. Or you could just even say their name. Joey, are you listening? You look at me, Joey. I'm over here. Oh, I used to tell the kids, I said, listen, I'm the only TV in this room, and I'm the only channel that you can watch. So you might as well look up in this direction. There's no other channel going. So just kind of have some fun with them. When we would have and this was in 3rd grade, we would have what was called field day at the end of the school year. And you would take your class out there, and the kids would compete in different events. And the kids would choose the event they wanted to be in. I would let them sign up for what they wanted to do. I mean, I wasn't going to say, you're going to have to do this and you're going to do this, because when I was in school, okay, I'm 5'2 3/4", okay? I'm going to round that up to 5'3". I was not a good athlete, okay? So I knew how they felt if they didn't want to participate in the 100-yard dash. I tried to let the ones who wanted to do those things do them. So, there would be things like the softball throw that, several of the kids would want to do, or basketball throws. But I completely understood how some might not want to do. And so I gave them choices to pick what they wanted to do, which is, to me, is the only fair thing. But then the PE teacher always had the teachers. They called it teacher surprise. Yeah, it was a surprise, all right. They'd have us teachers get out there and do whatever it was that they just came up with. And it was always something to make us look stupid most of the time. I remember one time we had to do these things called buddy boards. And so you would get with, I believe there were maybe 5 of us, 4 or 5 of us. They were long boards, okay, and there was 2 of them. And there was a rope on each board, okay? And everyone was to hold onto those ropes. So you have 1 foot on one board, 1 foot on the other board. And then you were to move forward, okay? Stepping. So you had to all step together at the same time, because if you don't, you're not going to move, or you're going to fall off, or whatever. I still remember that. And we would, be going left, right, left, right. And the kids had the best time hollering and screaming. I mean, it was all in fun for the kids. But another thing we had to do that was crazy. They had a bunch of clothes, like shirts and scarves and hats and sunglasses and different things like that, purses. So what we would do is we would get in a line. So I would be with a group of teachers, maybe 5 of us, and one of us would run to the other end of the gym, and you'd put on one item of clothing, and you run back. You've got to put that item of clothing on the next person in line. Then they run over and pick up another one that they have to put on. When they get back, they have to put those 2 items of clothing on that person. So you can imagine the fumbling that went on during that exchange. So whichever team was able to get was completely dressed with all the items we had to have in the quickest amount of time were the winners. So that was, oh my goodness. The kids had a blast. They would cheer us on. But we did all kinds of, I don't know, they came up with some really fun ideas. And, like I said, I did that for many years. I remember doing all of that fun stuff. I can't remember all of the things we did, but it was something different every year. And boy, then the big end of the day event was the tug of war. So I would have my kids, I would pick a team of, I think it was 10 or 12 kids in my classroom. It was a boys team and a girls team. So it might have been 8, so that make sure you had the right amount for each thing. So I would choose, I let the kids, if they wanted to be in the tug of war team, of course most of them did. There were some that did not. So most of them ended up getting to be on the team for tug of war, because I loved doing that. And I'm very competitive. You don't know that about me. There's a lot of things you don't know about me, but I was very competitive with my kids. I wanted them to win. So I would we usually won. My team usually won. I would set my kids up in a certain way so that I had some of my strong kids in the front to get that initial jerk. Some of the heavier kids at the back, and others in the center. And that, when it was no time to go, pull! I'm yelling, pull, pull. The next day I don't even have a voice, because I'm hollering for my kids, and they're so excited. The year I was pregnant, because we had this in May. Of course, my baby was due in August, and my baby girl weighed 9 pounds and 1 ounce, so I was quite large, even at that time. And I remember the PE teacher telling me, "I thought you were going to deliver right out there in that field when you were jumping around." I was hollering and come on, pull. And it was so much fun. The kids got a kick out of seeing me running around and, "Come on, you can do," call them by name. Don't you let them pull them over the line. And the thing about me is I was normally given some of what they call the worst or the hardest to handle kids in the school, because they told me I had a way of dealing with them. I was able to handle them. I mean, the counselor told me. So, let me tell you something. those kids right there, they were strong and they were tough, and they didn't want to lose. So I had some pretty tough kids pulling. But I'll never forget that, the counselor telling me, yeah, you're good at handling that type of kid, and, you know, you're so good with them. Whatever, you know, I just do my job, do whatever I gotta do. But those kids, that's some of the stuff I miss. That was fun, doing the tug of war. That, I mean, that's putting a smile on my face right now. I remember that year. I was wearing a pink jumpsuit when I was pregnant. It was a pregnancy jumpsuit, and it had belonged to my sister. And because we're about the same height, we're about the same size at that time. Bigger now. But we shared clothing. When you're pregnant, you pass them on to somebody else because you're not pregnant, but for so long. Anyway, I was wearing that pink jumpsuit, so you could see my baby sticking out there. It was, I can still picture it. Gosh, dog. Yeah, but I still remember Barbara, the PE teacher, saying, I thought you were going to give birth right out there on the field, because it was outside. And it's hot. I mean, this was in May, and it gets hot in Texas, because this is the end of May. It's starting to get pretty warm. Thank the Lord we don't go till July and August, you know. Well, we start back in August, but you're indoors then. So, those were some fun times. Yeah, I mean, not every day is hunky-dory at any job, but try to remember the fun things. And I like hearing about my kids and how well they're doing. And a lot of you have heard me talk about Isaac. He was one of my kids that I had in junior high. He came here from Honduras, and he's in the Marines. And I need to show you his picture. I didn't bring it in here with me. I need to show that to you. I got to see him. I told you guys about this at Thanksgiving and then Christmas. And it was so nice to see him because I hadn't seen him since, you know, that February before when he went into boot camp. But now he's back in California, and he's doing very well for himself. I'm very proud of him. He knows it. I tell him all the time how proud I am of him. He's growing a mustache now. I'm like, he used to always talk about that in school. He always wanted to have a mustache. Well, now he can grow one. So, I just think it's kind of funny. My brother Greg and I, because Isaac got to know my husband and my brother, because he'd come over. I call him my nieto, and he calls me abuelita. I mean, we're like family. He is 20 now, and he lost his mom when he was 17. That was a rough time. He lost her to cancer, and I knew her also. I remember I had crocheted a prayer shawl for her, and she would wear that anytime she would go for her chemo or whatever. She'd come over to our house sometimes, and she'd have it on. And so I became very close to that family. And I do miss Isaac. He is just such a nice young man. When he was here, we thought we were going to, you know, might do a video, but then he was visiting with family, and, you know, with COVID and all that other stuff, we decided we would wait maybe another time. But he brought me a Christmas gift, and I'll have to show it to you. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I'll have to show that in my next WIP and Chat. I'll have to try to remember. Put a reminder down there. Show Isaac's Christmas gift. I was just shocked when he brought me something. Just so sweet. Just a sweet guy. And I hear my phone going off in the other room. And I will see who it is in just a minute. Let me finish talking to you guys, because I'm about finished talking. I think you've probably heard me yammer on here enough. But I'm almost done with this color. We're getting along, guys. Getting along here with my beautiful... This, I'm going to tell you something. I have really, really enjoyed working on this. And I hope to be working on another one before long. Because I don't know if you're tired of seeing me work on this one or not, but you've kind of... I normally work on them more than just when I'm talking to you guys, but it hasn't been that way lately. I was busy making blankets during our cold snap, and then I've been wanting to finish these blocks, granny. They're called Galaxy Granny Squares. They're a more fancy one. Let me grab one. It's not a regular granny square. It looks like this. It's got, starts out round, okay, and then it has puff stitches, bobble stitches, double cluster stitches, triple cluster stitches, and then we have these stitches and double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, all of those kinds of things in here. And I just think it's going to be beautiful when all of these different colors are put together. And I've made several more squares that I'll show you in another video. I showed you a big chunk of them in one video, and I've got more made since that one. And I have had people asking me to show how to crochet, and if you're not interested in watching that, then, you know, don't watch the videos you don't want to watch. It's, you know, kind of like TV. You watch the programs you want to watch. But if, you know, you just want to see what I'm doing, see what I'm up to, you know, put different things. Everybody likes, you know, most people like doing more than one thing. And then some people like to do, you know, just only diamond painting or only crochet or only knitting. Everybody's different. And that is what makes the world so wonderful. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. Take care. God bless. Love you guys. Bye.